Well, that's fresh. Nice. Nice. Look at that. Oh, that is heavenly. All right, let's get this up in here. See if any people's going to come to. Oh, greetings. Yo. Well, hey, everybody. We're just going to do that thing we do where we hang out for a minute and everybody can file on in. Oh, you hear that fizz? You hear that wonderful snap, crapple, and pop? Snap, crackle, and pop of a delicious craft mead. Oh, so tasty. All right. John Spencer, what's up? Cardi, Eric, Jack, Wade, Sigurd. Sigurd. Fun name. Love that one. Shadakenmont. Caustic, Scott Storm. What's up? Greetings, everybody. Hello. All right, we're just doing these like 2-minute interludes where we're going to kick the stream off now. And I'm going to try to stop singing like weird. Well, that's not true. I'm going to keep on singing. I gotta be me. Yeah, so I think that's about 2 minutes right there. Yeah, so this is my new, the stream will begin soon screen. I hope you guys like it. It's a very high-tech solution involving this index card. Greetings, programs. Joe Buddy, Ingrid Bernal, Hankard Fernell, as me, back once again here on Drunkens and Dragons, hanging out, Runehammer style. It's Friday night. I hope y'all chilling. I hope y'all had a good week. You're getting revved up for the weekend. You probably got some cool plans. There's going to be some sunshine probably this weekend, or at least in coming weeks. We're going to be getting out of this wintry freeze hole, and we're going to get happy. Hope everybody's having good sound. Kill them beats. And yo, welcome. Hey, first let me start off. Look at this tidy little horn cup. My man Park Obis Fado. Thank you. He sent me a little 4-pack of my favorite mead and this amazing little drinking horn to celebrate 5 years here on Runehammer. So here's to you, my man. Oh, yeah. You can really taste the horn. Okay, guys, we got a double-sized economy family pack of Runehammer content tonight. So we're going to kick it. We're going to do what we've been doing for several weeks now. And actually, these streams just feel like basically just hanging out. So it's kind of relaxed. But the weird part is, like, these streams have been getting way more views than normal stuff. So welcome to Friday night. It's the Runehammer show. And also, thank you so many people for showing up on Patreon, hucking a buck into the bucket, the buck bucket. Or more in some cases, to get after all my podcast content and all my Viking Death Squad updates, and then participate in polls too, which actually it's almost worth $1 a month if you're into the crazy stuff that I create to be part of those polls. We just had our biggest one ever, where we're deciding sort of some of the future stuff to do on Runehammer. And of course, we're going to be doing index card stuff. That's all happening. But also, we're still working on OSAE. My next game is Monday night, so I'm super psyched. We have rented out the top floor of a local pub, and it pretty much have rented it out in perpetuity for every other Monday. So we just have this floor, and we get service while we play. It's absolutely fantastic, by the way. It's amazing, and it's cheap, and it's great, and we don't have to like be in each other's houses and stuff. So I'm super psyched for Monday, and so I wanted to not necessarily talk about the exact content for Monday because we kind of touched on it last week. Talking about how my Blackmore campaign is going. But what I wanted to more talk about, like what I'm actually freaking doing for Monday, which is You know, the ominous shadow word from beyond the fifth dimension. Prep. No, I'm not talking about like where rich people go before college. I'm talking about the thing that you do before your game, and you are the game master. So we're going to kind of let's like dust the cobwebs off this word, and also get some of the scare and the creative like burden of it out of here. Okay. Yeah. So hello everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Got about just like 80 of you crazies just showing up right away. So hopefully you'll get another 200. It's quite thrilling to think that you're just like talking to 200 people. That's wild. It would be really cool if we were in a room together. Now that would be a thrill. The bar tab would be out of control. Anyways, wow, this is delicious. By the way, if you guys are into mead, this is the best ever. This is better than Hidden Legend. This is Grenfell. Hidden Legend's got a more of a rich kind of jam going on, but this is just like Saturday moaning in the sunshine, knocking these babies back. They're delicious. Okay, so let's get into the first topic. We're going to get into all this thing about like preparing your game as a game master. And then we're going to take a brief intermission where I put this index card back on top of the camera and you look at the smiley face. And I'm going to go refill my cup. And then we're going to go into something completely unrelated. We're going to be talking about handmade character sheets and some how to do them. And then I've got some really wild tricks that I came up with for my group. So I want to show you guys those tricks because, oh man, hit a home run on this one. You know, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but every once in a while I'll cut an apple. You know that. All right. Prep. So we all do it, right? And especially if you're a game master sort of by trade like me, which means that in 3/4 or more of the games that you're in, you're the game master. And I just to kick things off, I strongly recommend that if you are a GM, do not be the infinite GM, the all GM, the person who's like resigned to being dungeon master in every single game. Like, that's just how it is. I've always been the dungeon master. You cannot be really good at the craft and the art form of being a game master without being a player. You just can't. Being a player is where you understand what is going on in the game far better than when you're in the game master. The player feels the game. The game master sort of sees the game. And that feeling of the game is how you get to know what can make like nights more fun. Okay, so first of all, do not just be that forever game master person who's just like, oh, I never get to play. Oh, baby. No, play in at least one of your games throughout the year. Playing one, you know, like get that feeling of investment and fear and not wanting to lose your loot and like standing up for your homies and doing all that good stuff. Okay, so that's the first thing. But most of the time, as a GM, if you're like me, what you're doing is preparing a session. Now, you guys know I do not prepare any more than one session at a time, ever. Now, sometimes I'll think about like ideas maybe that would be cool. And would be cool is a great way to start this talk. So let's just gather around that little warm spot in the cosmos right away. The word preparation does not get me excited. Matter of fact, it reminds me of hemorrhoids right away. That's like the first thing I think of. So that's not exactly igniting my creative spirit to think about hemorrhoids. Although ignition, you know, get it? Like a fire burning, it burns. Dear God, why? My anus is bleeding. Anyways, would be cool. Would be cool is a really fun phrase to rally yourself around as a game master because there are no expectations with that. Like, what would be cool? What do you mean? That's not how you prepare like a session of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't care. Like a shoe with spikes on the bottom would be cool. You know, like maybe like a vampire guy. That'd be cool. And he has like a dope sword and there's like a drop of blood in the hilt of the sword and like it's from his lost princess and like he has all this angst. That'd be dope. So what am I doing right now? Am I preparing a session? Not really. I'm just saying what would be cool. Like, oh yeah, like if characters are like in a cool like snowstorm or something, and they're like these buried wagons with these drifts, and there's like a frozen corpse with the hand coming out of the snow, like that would be cool. I'm not preparing anything. The word preparing is what we're going to get to in a second. Would be cool is just a little mnemonic device that you're going to use to lubricate the creative wheels. You just get the brain moving. Now, you guys know that I'm a huge believer in this stuff. The little words that you use with yourself when you're going through this internal dialogue of kind of sitting down with your notebook or asking, what am I going to do creatively right now? That moment, it's so easy to pop off the rails on accident with negativity or with bad habits. And so just asking yourself what would be cool gets your hand moving, right? So you just go into your journal and you just actually write it on the top, say would be cool for today. Screw it. And you're just like, well, I got spikes on the bottom of the shoe. I'm definitely going to want that at some point. The frozen hand in the snow with the caravan and the vampire with the drop of blood and the sword. Those are neat. Moving on, that has nothing to do with what I'm working on for my game for Monday night, but it would be cool. So this right here is a way to begin doing the kind of prep that I practice, which tonight kind of throwing down and maybe even tossing a little bit of a glove here and saying, yo, try it. Try doing it this way. Okay, so that's the first thing. What would be cool? Just loosen up. Just get there. Ooh, I'm thinking like a potion or like a potion bottle, and there's like a little blob of mercury, but it's like crawling around in there, like it's sentient and it's alive, and it like nuzzles you through the glass because it loves you and it's dedicated to you because it's imprinted on you like a baby goose, like a gosling. Anyway, what does that have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. Okay, so that's part one. Would be cool. All right, now let's get into, I know where they are at the end of last session. I know I have to prepare a fun session for Monday night because now they're really getting into it. I know they're excited to play. We had to skip a week because of some real life obligations. So I know that they're going to be chomping at the bit. So I want a bone crunching, fun session. Where do I begin? Okay, the first thing I want to do is just demythify that there is some kind of skill or mathematically balanced or precise way to do anything we're about to do. And the first question I would ask you when you're doing GM prep is, what do you do to prepare for anything in life? Anything. Like, you need to, like get up and make coffee in the morning. You need to go to the DMV to renew your license. You need to get to work on time. You know what I'm saying? You need to go over to Taco Bell with your homies. What do you do to prepare to do that? Well, you grab your phone, wallet, keys. That's the first thing, right? And then if you need any stuff or you need a little facto, like I need the address so I can go birthday party. Maybe you write that address down or you mark it on your map, right? And then you know where you're going. That's most of it. You get your stuff, you put it in a bag. Maybe you got a lunch. Maybe if you're going to something a little more complex, like a big meeting in the morning, like at a new job, you got some notes because you don't want to, sound like an ass. And so you got a couple notes about, productivity pipelines so that you don't forget some of those key points. You write them down, you wind up never looking at them. The meeting goes great. Okay. But just ask yourself, what do you do to prepare to do things in your life? And I would recommend doing that in a metaphorical way for your session. So for me, when I prepare, I need my phone, wallet, keys. I need my dice. I need my sheets. I need my notebook and usually a rule book just in case. That's my phone, wallet, keys. Okay, I get those. I put them in a little stack and ooh, I'm already starting to feel that glow. And then I'm like, wait a minute, last session. Ooh, I remember we left them off in this tunnel. I dropped a couple little hints over text to really get their blood boiling and I need to kind of cash in on those hints. And okay, so I'm just going to go to a new page. I'm not going to look back at anything I've written in the past. And I'm just going to write down kind of in the tunnel and they heard that croaking sound. And yeah, that's about it. Okay, I know where I'm going for the birthday party, right? This is to me is the first step. How do you prepare to do things in your life? Do that for a session. Just think of it as you're going out on a date, right? You're going to do a job interview, whatever. Do those same kind of things and just get your jam, get your stuff together. This again is a way to creatively do self-care and kind of like give yourself, cucumbers on the eyes, but creatively speaking. So get your shit together. You need a pen, you need a journal, you need some dice. Make sure you know where the sheets are and like your rules. You're set. Okay, maybe you got some index cards if you're cool like me, like you got your Sharpie, right? You're like, I feel good now. This is like being ready to go to school the day before school. It feels really good when it's time to go to school. So do this, treat yourself. That's the first big step. All right, now the next one is the biggest one. And this one, I'm a little bit of a broken record here. A lot of you guys know that I'm very adamant about this and very outspoken. The only kind of prep that is going to be super functional and awesome for you is prep you can freaking remember, that you can just remember. If anything gets too lengthy or too detailed or too complex or has multiple outcomes or all kinds of crazy stuff like that, and you can't just pop it right off the top, it's too much. And a lot of it is going to be just washed down the river. Now, is it still fun to do too much prep? Yes, it is. It's kind of part of the hobby to draw more maps than you need, to draw more illustrations than you need, to come up with more details about NPCs than ever reach the table. But as far as what really happens at the table, you are going to look at your journal, your rule books, your notes about 1 to 10% of the amount that you think you're going to. And everybody out there knows exactly what I'm talking about right now. You have all these cool notes. You have all this stuff. There's all these tactics these monsters are going to do and all this stuff. And you wind up just playing. And you glance down at one thing to check what an item was that was in a chest. And you realize, oh my God, I had 8 pages of notes. And the only thing I ever looked at was what's in that chest. But the session came off just as kind of I had envisioned it in a lot of ways. So what just happened? It's because you freaking remembered. And this is a litmus test for how you're going to do your prep. Use whatever mnemonic devices and practices you can to get it in your memory, not in your notes. The other thing about notes, which everyone knows who's ever been like in an important meeting or a big presentation or something like that, is that looking at your notes is a real like buzzkill. Now, I'm not saying it's going to like, oh God, that's good. I'm not saying it's going to kill the vibe or it's going to kill the fun or anybody's going to give you a hard time because you're checking your notes because you want this session to be accurate and cool and you want to capture some of the nuances and the details. It's not that bad, but I can tell you that when the energy's flowing and the blood is pumping, taking your eyes away from your players down into this little private space is a bit of an energy kill. Let me give you a sort of a metaphor or an analogy for this. You guys who ever seen DJs perform live, a lot of DJs have a headphone, right? And so they're playing a track for you. It's all dope. And then they listen and they're queuing up the next track and their eyes kind of go down and they kind of go into some world you can't hear where they're queuing up the next track. And it's a bit of a bummer, honestly. It's like it takes away a little bit of the energy. Whereas, freaking Tom Petty is rocking out on his electric guitar. He's looking you right in the eye the whole time, feeling that emotion. And it's like it creates that ever building excitement. And so you're going to check notes. You're going to look down at things. Don't beat yourself up about it. But if you just remember, if you remember what the session is going to be, you're going to be eye to eye with your players and in the dice exploding and changing the story and getting your little campfire working, whatever you're using to move things around or to a box that you roll dice in, or maybe you're like me and you use dice as miniatures and different stuff like that. And that's where your mind stays. And you avoid this kind of, going over here. Oh yeah. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Right. So that's my second big point is like, do things you can remember, put it in your memory. And this is really sort of an extension into my third point, which is like, write it to get it, not to read the writing. A lot of people think that notes are there so that you can go read the notes later and somehow go, oh boy, what a mastermind I was when I wrote all these notes. Wow. Yeah. Check your notes during the bio break is a great idea. I'm writing these notes down because I'm at my smartest right now. And later when I'm dumb, I'm going to look at these notes and I'm going to recapture this mastermind state that I'm in right now. These notes are amazing. Right. I would surmise, I would hypothesize that most note taking is never read again. That actually the reason a lot of us write things down in general, not just in D&D, in all life, is because it's a mnemonic device to remember shit. So you write something down and it tends to, especially with visual thinkers, it'll get you to remember that thing, even things like phone numbers or a map or a little reminder, just the act of writing it with a pen, no, not keyboard, that act. And I've talked a lot about this stuff, about analog note taking and how it's the act of writing the letters puts those concepts in your brain. And this is the goal of your prep. It's not to come up with the coolest set of notes ever, because a lot of people sweat how cool looking their notes are, or if they make a spelling mistake and they scribble it out with pen and they're like, oh, this whole journal's ruined. It's not about that. Use the prep, use the writing and the dreaming and the drawing and the doodling to get it, not to create an artifact you're going to read later. Now, you might read it later, but getting it is so much more powerful to bring a lot of fun to the table. And we've all been in sessions where GMs clearly are very tense about accurately translating an idea to the table. Whether if it's that this corridor is not 10 feet wide, it's 5 feet wide, and this corner has a 15-foot radius, and oops, I forgot that at the 5-foot mark, there's this fountain, and it's exactly 10 feet from this little switch thing, and like, that's what's in the notes, and you're trying to put it on the board, and you're just like, oh my God. We've all seen that. The overly accurate note to table translation pain. Don't do that. If you're going to subscribe to this method that I'm talking about. What you need to know is what that corridor is, quote unquote, like, because you get it. You get it in your mind, and you can fill in spaces, because that's what players are doing too. Players don't have a map of the Tomb of Horrors like you do. And right away, if you subscribe to this approach, you're going to think, how the hell would I ever do something like Tomb of Horrors? Well, that's just it. Talk about over prep. You would really need to understand a large chunk of a large dungeon like that at the same time by command. And that command is what gives you just what Caustic is mentioning here, which is common sense for creating the missing parts of the scene. And especially when you're comfortable with your players, you can just fess right up that that's what you're doing. You're like, well, it's just a tunnel and there's some rubble, but here, let's kind of improvise where this stuff is. Let's kind of just add it in, right? You don't need to, come off as if everything is so planned. All right. Now, how do we get here? Okay, so we know this dream, right? The dream is we have fun journaling, and we use the journal as a mnemonic device to get it, to get the content in my head. Like, I don't need to look at my map of this town that we're going into, Westburg, because I just can see it in my head. And if we have some unclarity, we'll just kind of come up with the stuff. But I know there's like 6 real locations. I know them off the top of my dome. I don't really need the notes. They're there for me as a security blanket, but I just get it. So that's the first big sort of chapter of this prep talk. All right. Now, how do we get there? Okay. The first rule: contrivance is difficult and realism is easy. Okay. I know. Whoa, hold up. Contrivance is difficult and realism is easy. Okay. Well, my lizard brain right away says, I like easy things. Give me the easy thing. I want my food pellet. So what is contrivance exactly? Well, contrived things are things that are unnaturally assembled to create a desired effect. We all know what realism is. It's things that are all around us at all times that are easy to convey in common language and imagine visually. Contrivance is the sort of D&D tradition around very strange puzzle rooms, or rooms with sort of imposed or strict solutions. And they're contrived. They're contrived because it's kind of like, we've all had this feeling of like, what purpose does this room serve? Like what function could this dungeon possibly serve? Like, why is it like this? Because it's contrived. Like, why do you hide poison needles inside the pews in a church? Right? It's very contrived way to wear down player hit points. So contrivance is going to take more notes from you. Remember the old Grimtooth trap books? They were so cool, but they were also an exercise in maximum contrivance, like these bizarro traps with bizarro solutions and disabling techniques. Now, those are cool. Don't get me wrong. They are cool, but they're hard. It will be hard to just get it through your memory. It'll be hard to get efficient notes on complex stuff like Grimtooth type traps. And it will be hard to quickly and energetically deliver at the table. Just because it's hard doesn't mean you never do it, because some of the best things in life are hard. But as far as like just the prep and making it enjoyable as a weekly practice like I do, I want easy. Realism is easy. Let's think about a real like catacomb or crypt. It's basically a slightly squiggled tunnel It doesn't have a bunch of doors and branches. There's a little bit of squiggling that leads to a main burial chamber, probably with some burial stuff on the way there. Just kind of like that, right? It's dug like a sort of a worm shape because it's like a barrow. Maybe they had primitive digging tools and stuff like that. It's quite easy for me to not even have to draw that and to accurately describe and create it in some visual sense, maybe with a Sharpie or a dry erase marker at the table, because it's realistic. Yeah, and this is Occam's razor is a great sort of evocation of this type of thinking, which is that simplicity is usually closer to the truth. And so this is also, there's a huge benefit that comes with this, which is that players are going to get the same benefit from this kind of prep that you do, which is that they will have an easy time visualizing this stuff. Contrived, complex, detailed rooms are going to induce more questions on the part of the players. Well, am I 10 feet away from the fountain because I don't, want to be where that little metal thing swings around? I want to be like right outside where that little thing is swinging around. So I'll be 11 feet from the fountain and all this kind of stuff, right? It's not that stuff's impossible. It's just very hard comparing to more realistic scenarios. It's a tunnel dug by miners. Boom. I can imagine just about everything ahead when I say it's a tunnel dug by miners. You got those timber things, right, that are holding up the ceiling. You got a little rail. You got a little cart over there. Maybe there's a little pile of helmets, and there's a lantern on the wall that's flickering. Like, all that just came with that first description, and that's the efficiency of note-taking and getting it rather than needing to remember a bunch of contrivance. Okay, so that's the first big one to get you there. So contrive if ye must, but beware ye contriver. Thanks a lot, Mike. And yeah, thanks to you guys. We are doing, it's now up to 150 monthly to the local food bank. So thank you very, very much. Okay. Yeah, write it to get it. Contrivance, hard. Realism, easy. And then this contrivance argument leads to my sixth and most powerful point. And this is probably going to be the hardest one to accept as you're enjoying your sort of preparation ritual as a GM, which for me, it's absolutely a ritual. I always get myself cold beer. I usually get out of the home so I don't have any distractions and kick back with a beer and then just sort of draw the little shoe and then draw a little dagger and then maybe think about a little dude and then remember where the thing is and then some bullet points and I'm kind of done. The last one is completely let go of proposed or imposed solutions to anything you prepare. So if you put a gigantic freaking crocodile in a narrow little tunnel, you're done. You do not need to even give one iota of thought to how players are going to get past this crocodile. The minute you start doing that, you're going to get yourself into a little contrivance corner. You're gonna have these sort of artificial, and you're gonna be wanting to almost like elbow the players as you're describing things. Like, did you notice that last detail? That's the solution to get it through the room, right? No, there is no implied solution, especially if you really want to lean on this kind of realism thing. Like if there's a mine shaft and it's collapsed up ahead, and the players are being chased by a skeleton army, that's it. I don't come up with anything else. They need to find a way to get through this tunnel or stop the army or go around or something. I don't need to hide a little MacGuffin that's going to get them through the rubble, right? Those MacGuffins, I know that they're tempting, and I know that lots and lots of dungeon masters out there use them. And when they're doing the description, you almost always see this twinkle in their eye because they've revealed to you the MacGuffin that's so neat. And what they've done is they've created this contrived solution, and almost always the players figure it out very, very quickly, and they will avoid it at all costs. Players do not want to do what you're supposed to do. They would rather shatter the Rubik's Cube and put it together one cube at a time rather than just solve it by using the corner method, right? So you completely let go of proposed solutions for your players to do. Like the only way to get out of the gnome chamber is to use the hidden cart, which is in area 4. That's like, man, how are you going to like lead them in there and stuff? And like all your descriptions are you're going to have this kind of subtext going. So if you take everything that I just suggested, basically writing as a tool to get or remember your content, and then a couple key things to avoid to keep it simple. Just avoid contrivance and stick to realism in a lot of ways, and avoid solutions. Just that short little list. If you really take it to heart, I think it will drastically change exactly how you do prep. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this topic is I really feel like it's a bit of a sort of a boogeyman, as I've been calling them in the hobby lately. This sort of black box of what a really good GM does between this session and the next session. And there's so much material on the internet nowadays about what is involved creatively in that moment, about creating campaigns. And then we have other examples like some of the recent WotC books and others that present these massive sequence of events and environments and characters with cross-referenced motivations and all this complexity. And in a way, it kind of suggests to you, see, this is how the pros prepare their games. It's kind of implied in those books. And I want to speak up very vocally that that is not doable for me. And it's not something, honestly, that I'm interested in, because all that edifice of creativity is missing one absolutely crucial thing: players. Players. Now, every once in a while, of course, you need a little reveal here and there, or a little secret that you're going to pop out, or like, a neat NPC who's a fruit vendor who has a sort of side story that you kind of thought was cute and cool. Of course, you're still going to have all those things. But I want to put out there that preparing for a game, as many others have said, can be a matter of 30 minutes and just a little bit of quick thinking about, like, okay, I kind of got a feel for what's going to happen. And the reason that I want to sort of advocate this method is not just to save you time or like, Marie Kondo your journal. It's because I think it really does lead to more fun play sessions. And I've had one of my podcasts is called Using Your Prep as Playtime, which is, I see the GM as a player. The GM should be allowed to have a few beers and a couple shots and loosen up and not worry about the content falling apart because it's been prepared in such a precise fashion. So, yeah, coffee boiler, thank you. And I know that these are simple points, and I'm kind of repetitive when I'm talking through them, but that is the mindset. More and more simple things that you pound further into the brain so they become second nature. Don't contrive things. Keep them kind of real so they're easy to believe. Use your notes as a mnemonic device and don't focus on them too much while you play. And of course, the ultimate principle, only prepare one session at a time. Even if you have it would be cool if, or wouldn't that be cool? Oh yeah, it totally would be cool to have this vampire who looks like Lil Nas X, and he's got blood in the hilt of the sword, and he's kind of angsty, and maybe I'm going to, put a spin on the whole vampire thing and change it up in a way. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Has absolutely nothing to do with anything. I don't need to sit there and twiddle my fingers for the next 3 hours and come up with some convoluted means by which getting from this little frog tunnel is going to lead them to a vampire encounter. That mindset of creating and preparing a campaign, I think, is a detrimental myth that has been put on us in doing this hobby. That is happening and is a road you want to tread, is a cool technique. I think that myth has been passed around so much, of this amazing dungeon master coming up with this sprawling world, and no matter where the characters go, there's content just ready to pop, and it's just these vast swaths of interesting detail and all this stuff. To me, that is a somewhat destructive stereotype and myth to put on the weekly creative person who's maybe running 2 games every single week and is not functioning that way. Is just functioning like, okay, yeah, I think they're going in there. I might give a little bit of the reveal on who this person is because she's kind of part of the story. I'm honestly not even completely sure where that's going, because I'll kind of pick up their cues and see where they feel like it's going. And then also, as an extension to this method, you got to watch out for the one thing which I can feel maybe coming off the comments, which is that if you improvise too much, if you're just slamming it out because you're drunk on game night, that's not cool either. That's not cool. You need to have some kind of backstop to your improv, that it is coming from a place. And during those more improv-y sections, those less charted waters, that's when I get the most honest with my players. Like, we're looking at a gray zone here. This part of the world has not been built. Let's populate it real quick. Like, maybe it's sort of desolate out here. As you're scouting, give me a dice roll. And on the, the 1, 2, 3 on a D6, it's desolate and kind of busted up. On a 4, 5, 6, you spot a tower and there's some farms around it. I just didn't prepare for you guys to like go off into this forest, right? And just lay it out, be completely honest, come up with something on the spot, but don't just invent it and then pretend like you invented it ahead of time. That's cheating. You must never pretend that you have something prepared that is not prepared. This is the Dungeon Master's code. Just like never, ever fudging your dice. I know some people disagree with me on that, but I can't bend on that view. And I also cannot bend on this view. You must never deceive your players in any way, ever. Just like any other human being. You must never be dishonest in any way. If you did not prepare a part of the world and that's where they're going, fess up immediately and work with them to get it created, or take a 5-minute break and jot a couple ideas down and resume. But never, ever come off like you have planned something that you did not. That is breaking the code. That is brutal. And this is part of honor. The Runehammer code is strength, honor, and beer. This is the honor part. Honor is living by your word. It's people like was said here in the comments, is about trust. Yeah, Damien, my man, by the way. It's about trust, and trust is built with honesty and with honor. And so you got to have it because you're the DM. You're the beacon at the table. You're the leader. So if you're going to be sleazy with some stuff that you actually didn't write down, that you say you wrote down, players are going to do that stuff too. Oh yeah, I have 900 gold. You don't have 900 gold. Yeah. It was that last adventure. I found 900 gold. Your table's falling apart at that point. Okay, so this is it. I know it seems short, but this is the talk I wanted to do about preparing your game, one session at a time. Use writing to remember, not to create notes to look at later. Keep things simple and real, not contrived and complex. And absolutely, positively let go of imposed or proposed solutions that your players are supposed to find. One of the worst examples of that type of design work is the password. Is you have someone guarding a door that cannot be breached by players, and you have a cue in your notes that they're waiting to hear something about Elandria and her treasure. And until Elandria is mentioned, this guard will not open this door. That's a password. And players are sitting there trying to guess what this guy wants to hear. And they'll get irate and they'll wind up burning the castle down. So go with it. Have your guard, have them be resistant to players at first, but organically talk with them to get them in the door instead of demanding a certain sort of round peg, round hole kind of solution. Okay. That is that piece. And hey, look at that. We're coming in about 45 minutes or an hour here. Let's open it up. We're going to wrap up this prep start of the stream tonight. Just do all caps the word question before your question. And let's talk about your sort of, foibles with doing the preparation for your games. We're going to talk about that a little while. Then we're going to take a break. I'm going to refill my can, and we're going to get into the second part of tonight. So thanks for hanging out, everybody. It's good to have y'all. And let's get those. Okay, Prawn Wonton. As a kid playing D&D, we didn't do prep. Yeah, exactly. By the way, hey, Prawn, it's good to see you, man. No terrain, story notes, just a vague map. Had a blast making stuff up in the moment. Why is this hard as an adult? Well, I'll tell you why. Creativity is hard as an adult compared to a kid. Thanks, Park. It's that simple. Creativity is hard as an adult and easy as a kid because kids, like their bodies, their minds are fresh and pink and bubbling. Did you ever see a kid like fall off a roof into the yard? They'd get up and run away. If I fell off a roof into a yard, I might not ever walk again. That difference applies to creativity, just like it does the resilience of the body. The child mind is always just ready to pop and ready to go with it and have a good time. It can make them annoying, but from their point of view, they're just having a great time. the older we get, the less in contact we are with that fundamental creative urge. And getting back into the child mind, that's a huge part of it. How am I doing? I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking. Appreciate that. Feeling really healthy and strong these days. Looking forward to getting some sunshine, getting back out in the world. Krautus. I've fudged dice before. Is there any redemption? Yes, there's always redemption. I am not a part. We can disagree, and it doesn't mean that we are to be disposed of. I don't want to be part of that. We are still humans together, and if we disagree, we got to work it out. That's what adults do. That's what cool people do. So there's always redemption. It's never too late to be a good guy. Dan Moonfeld. Question. How many points would you make on an average session? Points? You mean like bullets? Well, if I look at one here, it's about 6. Yeah, between sort of 5 and 10, between 5 and 10 little bullets, if that's what you mean by points. Thanks, Neil, by the way. How would you define what the art of play is? I don't know. It's in the beginning of almost every damn role-playing book. I don't know. I think that's determined over time, moment to moment, what really we're doing. Ending a campaign. Have you run a high-level game? Yes, I have, and I've done ridiculous power levels, and I've ended things. I always end it with, a big cataclysm and a nice afterglow. You got your big sort of Tiamat thing. You crash the dimensions, and then the sort of kingdom that once fell falls into the hands of the players, and they kind of retire into awesomeness. How do you challenge high-level players is a kind of another big question, but basically by spiking, not by high hit points. Okay, slow down a little, guys. I think I missed a couple. Wade, how do you feel about false choice? They're horrible. Planned outcomes. Yeah, I also call it no content left behind. So even though you might go through the one room and skip the other one, I'm going to move it in front of you like a treadmill so that you do go through it. False choice is a tough one because sometimes it just doesn't matter. It's just a racetrack anyways, and they're having fun. But you don't want false consequences or false results. So maybe, yeah, they thought they went through one door and it squiggles them around to what the other door would have been. But a lot of times you don't do that too. And I think there's a rhythm to using that technique. And I would actually tell them sometimes when that's happening, like at the end of the session, I would tell them that happened. What's that black beast you've mounted on your wall? That will be revealed in time. I knew somebody would notice. That will be revealed in time. There is something coming. All right. Do you have any experience DMing Cthulhu? Not the rule set, but the theme, absolutely. If so, any reading? Yeah, just read the source material. Read the source material of Lovecraft and get your feelings there. Don't take it from someone else. How's your latest journal? It's great. It's a big mess. Would you say your older room design is realism or contrivance? That's a good question. They're a little bit in between. With terrain acts as visual notes in a way, so you can get a little bit more complex, and the 3D terrain acts as your notes. You see a little thing and it reminds you of a thing. So it's a little different. I think you can push that envelope a little bit more when you're using 3D terrain. What am I adding, removing from Magic? Well, I'll save that till the reveal. Just picked up OSE. Cool. Yeah, it's crazy, some stuff's roll over and some stuff's roll under. And I think that you can kind of see the creative process of them adding these rolls to the game piece by piece by differentiating those over or under. And that would keep the game sort of moving and changing a lot. Moving and changing in some ways gone out of style since then. But I really like that aspect of the game. I think it's fun. Thank you, Irate. I appreciate that. I will be doing more fiction, but I'll get to that in time. I need the writer. Writing is difficult for me, so I have to wait to come back to that. I'm not like a talented sort of writer where I can just bang stuff out. It takes a lot of work. So then what do you prep before a campaign? No, I don't do overall plots. I don't do big bads. I get it. I really want a sense of the tone and how it starts, and that's all I do. And I see what players are interested in. Before I know what they're interested in, I don't want to come up with a bunch of stuff. But I do like to have that opening small space to be really something I have visualized so that I can throw in the details. And those who have played at my table know about my odd penchant for details. How do you feel about prepping encounter tables? Yeah, encounter tables are cool. Yeah, rock on. For some people, they work really, really good, like they're used to it. So it's just a momentary kapow. And especially if you're playing like a true mega dungeon or sandbox style. For me, I've never used them. Encounter tables they throw my gears off a little bit. Absolutely. Yeah. The players will almost always have the best ideas. There is a little bit of job for you to do, though, in cloaking that you're just aping those ideas. If they're just like that boy on the Twilight Zone who would just like think a thing and it became real, that's not good. So there's a gray zone in there. But I think always, yeah, the players are where it's at. So no pre-written adventures. No, never. Unless I can read them and comprehend them and run them from memory. But I don't run published adventures. I don't even know how people do it, honestly. It's mind-blowing to me. I guess if you just go at a snail's pace and it's kind of a crawl, or if you've done it a bunch of times so you have it committed to memory, that could be cool. But yeah, I barely know. No, I don't drop hints really of any kind. I'm not a hint giver. I believe in really seeing the world in a literal way in the immediate moment. And there's not big reveals and secrets. Reveals and secrets and twists to me belong in fiction, not in role playing. But that's a gray zone too. Do you ever do the opposite? Act like you're improvising when you're no, my brain is not complex enough to pull that kind of I don't even know where I would begin with that. How would you customize monsters to make them more deadly? Always with spiking. Always with spiking. Spiking is my word for extremely volatile damage output. A great one is the rock toss by the mountain or hill giant in any version of D&D that you know. He picks up a boulder nearby and throws it, and it's just a massive amount of damage. That's a spike to me. A spike, I think it's a term probably from video game design, but it's, I know that it was used in WoW for a while. Like you would have a damage spike from, say, Valistraza in World of Warcraft. And that you need to prepare for that spike. I think the wrong way to create deadliness is to just add tons of hit points. Another great one is, like immunities and ability nullifiers. So this is, again, where vampires are just so fun. What's your hot take on strong hit, weak hit mechanics? I'm not sure what that means. I will not be doing any play videos. I'm not going to film my friends, and I also think cameras greatly change social interactions in a way that I don't want to do that to my game. Justin Cox, have you ever checked out hex flowers? I don't know anything. Oh yeah, I have seen those, but man, those look complex. Those look complex to me. I get scared. How do you end up tying things together, playing session to session? It happens. It's inevitable. We all know that feeling of watching a show and thinking, oh, you know what? I bet she's the killer, and that's why she put that phone in that bucket, right? Or something like that. We all intuit tie-ins and story twists based on events. The difference between the DM is that intuition can then become a note, and that can actually become the truth in the next session. But instead of planning ahead, you plan based on what has actually occurred. And I think this is a big behavior that our hobby could use in general, is really just focusing on the specifics of what you have been through, you have encountered, and you have done, not generalizations about what players like and don't like, not generalizations about what GMs can and can't do, not generalizations about what the game should and shouldn't be, but just the specifics, just the facts, ma'am. What have we actually done? And let's stay focused right there in the truth and the reality. My players shy away from exploration once they reach the city and rather just stay there. Well, wow. How would you get them to take risks? They just want to stay in the city. Why are they playing D&D? That's what you do in real life. Oh my gosh. I get them to take risks by taking everything they love away from them and forcing them to be heroes to get it back. Yeah. Me and Cyrus, though, did have some great times back in the day doing PvP games. So you guys should go rewatch those. I looked at some of those. Those are some of my first videos. They're super funny. Just because we were also drinking very heavily at the time. Coffee boiler. How do you divert your players without taking? You don't divert them. There is no plot on Planet B. You don't want them to go to planet B. You don't want anything. You're a leaf on the wind. They want to go to planet A, then go there. I mean, that's where the bug bladder beast of Trawl lives, so why not? For you to want something is like your dad saying you have to be a lawyer when you grow up. That's a buzzkill, right? So don't make your players be lawyers when they grow up. Let them be themselves. ICRPG Master Edition leather-bound books. Details. ETA. Take my money. Like I said, I don't do deadlines. There are no more details. There's much to do. There's a lot of work ahead. The skull glass. Yeah, absolutely. It's around here somewhere. If you're in here, like this video. I thought we were all supposed to dislike my videos. There's a funny chain of comments about that. What do you think about GM-less RPG? I don't know anything about that. I don't know why that would be. I can't. Now, that's just a board game, I guess. That's like Gloomhaven. Okay, a couple more, and then let's take our because the horn's almost empty. I don't know what I just became. The leprechaun. Have you read The Lazy Dungeon Master? Yes. What are your thoughts on prep ideas set out in that book? They're great. There's one problem. Really, a lot of the advice in that book is spot on the money. There's one problem that I really don't like, and it's the word lazy. I do not like to think of myself as lazy. That's bullshit because I put tons of effort into this hobby, and I really don't like those tiny little negative words that eat at you. Oh, I'm a lazy DM, so this is how I'm going to do it. Fuck that. I'm not lazy. I'm fucking awesome, man. I sweat and bleed for this hobby. I'm not freaking lazy. Get out of here. So I don't like that. But the advice within, great. The art's cool. He did a great job on that stuff. Everybody digs that book. What's the horn made of? Horn. Yeah, but the efficient game master, the efficient dungeon master is not a very catchy title, so I can see where lazy comes in. But for me, I don't believe in that kind of. I know that's minor as negative reinforcement, but I can't hang with it. That's like what would be cool to me. I know that seems silly and small, but to me, that's an exciting phrase to ask myself, not to tell myself I'm lazy and then get a course of action from that evaluation. Yeah, I would like to think I am the antithesis of lazy. I bust my ass for all this stuff, but it's also because I'm privileged. Because of the support that I get from all of you guys, I have a position of privilege to do this with fervor, with a lot of aggressive, creative effort. And I want to earn that privilege with freaking doing it, with showing up week after week and not asking for much in return, except for survival. Like I love doing this stuff, so I want to do it with all I got. I do have the Dados shirt. It's the collar is like falling off. I wore it too much. Man, that was a great shirt. It's kind of fallen apart. It's become a bit of a relic. If anybody can find a replacement for my Dados shirt, I would happily pay for that in gold pieces. Okay, one more question. When is a fluffy bunny a duck? Oh, come on. That's not going to be the last one. A fluffy bunny is never a duck unless it's the Cadbury egg commercial. Well, it's more of a chicken. Yeah, that's the Rob Dyrdek mindset, is the harder you work, the luckier you get. Or it's just like Dua Lipa said, if you work hard enough, you might get lucky once. If you hate negative words, stop saying you don't know how to draw and don't know how to color. Well, that's a damn good point. I have no rebuttal to that. I really do need to break that habit. I think I'm exposed to my mentor artists, or sort of my hero artists, quite a bit nowadays. I mean, I always have been. And in my mind, I'm always striving to go there. But you know what? Fuck all that. You're right. I need to stop saying that shit. I'm good at drawing and coloring. Fucking A. Are you working on a project with Professor DM? Funny you should ask. That is part of the second half of tonight's double-sized stream. So you guys are going to get a little reveal there, and then we're going to talk about how to do it. Yeah, thanks, Keith. Appreciate that. A pay-to-play DM is no. Nope. D&D is something shared between friends, and you can't pay me to be your friend. You guys hang out. I'm going to throw a beat on here, and I'm going to go get another can. downstairs, and I will be back in just a couple minutes, and we will resume this stream. We're going to talk about handmade character sheets and maybe some how-to tips, as well as like getting rid of the sort of creative barriers about making your own character sheets and making them badass. So let's do it. I'll see you in a couple seconds. Boop. I love GURPS. All right. I got to tell you, Park, this combination of Grenfell and this cup is absolutely divine, dude. Thank you. So tasty. Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. We got 250 chuckleheads hanging out tonight. Hello, everybody. Buenas noches. Kalispera to all of you. Hi, everybody. I'm Ingrid Bernal. Okay. Why is it Think Deck? So there's a bunch more to talk about on that subject. Do your research. Just rock that notebook. Here's where I'm at in mine right here. I got this weird skeleton nun that I drew. And then just redid my character for our Symbaroum game with this little handmade sheet here because my other sheet was becoming such a freaking mess. Everything I do goes in my journal. It's just a terror to behold. It's just complete chaos, but that's what journals are for. Thinking that you're going to wreck your journal by making a mess in it is kind of, to me, kind of like thinking that you're going to ruin your boots by getting mud on them. Like that's their purpose. Okay, so to do this second part of the stream, since YouTube no longer does screen share in their easy throw up live thing, which just, okay, whatever. I film my setup. So how am I going to do this? Because I got like a microphone here. I got like a lot going on. I got this mouse. I got this pen here. Yeah. So I hadn't really thought this all through that well. Okay, so we've talked a lot about prep and like some methods and some mindsets that can benefit you. Here we go. Look at this guy. And now we're going to move on to a viewer idea, which was to do a stream about handmade character sheets. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to move my camera up and over so that I can film my Cintiq. And I want to show you guys some stuff about how I break down my sheets. So I'm going to kind of do some shenanigans here. You're going to hear like some thumping sounds. And that's okay because everybody loves that thump. We'll just kind of rotate this up. Everybody love that thump. Hope you all can still hear okay. And we're going for a ride. Here we go. Whoa. Okay, there we go. All right. Look at that. Look at the beauty of it. All right, hold on to your butts, everybody. All right. There we go. Okay. Great. All right, so you are looking at the infinite timescape. Whoa! Of that's too funny. There you go, infinite timescape. Okay, so this is my a lot of people ask what I use to draw and all that kind of stuff. This is what I use. And normally I have Skeletor right back here, but things are a little crowded today. Things are getting a little crazy. All right. Get that right over there. Okay, so let's get out of Infinite Timescape into Photoshop here. And I'm going to pull this over so I can see y'all's comments. Like that. All right, here we are in the second part of the stream. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Welcome to Runehammer. And those of you who know Professor Dungeon Master and the YouTube channel Dungeon Craft probably know about his homebrew rule set called Deathbringer. So recently, Professor DM posted up his sort of bare bones character sheet for Deathbringer, and he didn't even say anything to me. Like, we're homies and we talk now and again, but I saw that and I was just like, yo, I got to make this guy a character sheet because the damn game's called Deathbringer. That's reason enough right there. So I did this sheet for him, and the point of showing the sheet is actually what a viewer brought up, which is to do a stream about how to make character sheets. A lot of people use a lot of like shape tools and quite complex tools to get this certain feel that I think really is a downer on character sheets. Like, there's some kind of strange expectation that character sheets should be like perfectly scientific or perfectly precise, or like with vector art or something. And I just no, I can't. So I do all my character sheets by hand, especially something like this. Okay, so this is the first sort of part of this experience we're going to talk about here. So first I want to talk about like how I do this stuff, and then I want to show you the real sort of cupcake birthday cake of this stream tonight, which is a trick I came up with for my group that they do not know about yet. So they damn well better not be watching. So anyways, this is the Deathbringer sheet that I did. And I want to show you guys some techniques that I use that to some might be quite appalling. It's sometimes referred to as working destructively. So let's start fresh. Boop, boop. We got a white piece of paper. Make yourself a layer. And this, this is going to get pretty specific as far as, what you're doing. Okay, so you got your pen and paper, right? Now, the vast majority of character sheet makers use like this kind of stuff, right? They're using box tools, and then they make a box, and then they're like, maybe I need this to be vector because I need to wait a minute. One edge of my box is a little thicker than the other edge, and then I need a circle, and I need to do the circle, and then I need to get this. So anyways, they use these kind of tools, and then they're getting like selection tools, and they're like, okay, I need this line here, and I need to kind of stick it on there, and it needs to connect to the thing. And like, I'll tell you what, you can start going completely crazy doing this stuff. Completely crazy. It can become so much work. Now, some games, I do sheets for a lot of games, and they ask for this kind of look. But the far more satisfying way is to do it by hand. So what I wanted to talk about today is how you do that. And when I brought it up on Discord, I say, oh yeah, I make all my character sheets by hand. People were like, well, yeah, but us mortals can't really draw like that. And I wanted to kind of reveal that really it's far easier than doing advanced drawing. So everybody knows that you hold the shift key to draw straight lines in almost every drawing program out there, right? And this is basically the sort of the beginning of the do it by hand mindset. So I'm doing horizontal lines that will be used to write on by a player. You notice how they vary slightly in thickness? That's just because I'm pressing a little bit harder or softer as I draw the line. So I'm being gentle, and then I'm pushing hard. Right now, grab my eraser, kind of roughly make them all the same length. Maybe just take my eraser and just cut out a couple little pieces here and there. And there you go. Now I have my lines. Now, this, I got to tell you guys, is so much cooler than how you see so many character sheets do these like overly precise, soulless lines like that. So you have to. Oh, is my focus weird, or is it jumping on my hand or something? Let me see if I can do that. I have no idea how to do that. I think I have to run like an app to do that. Yeah, is my focus killing you? Okay, so let's just here. Let me so you guys don't see like everything about my computer. I'll be back in 2 seconds. There we go. I think I have a thing for this. Yeah, it's right here. Working. Let's turn off autofocus, shall we? Thanks for the heads up, by the way. I appreciate that. Autofocus is currently turned off. So how's that? Is that better? Hand comes in, focus. Okay, there we go. Fixed it. All right. So anyway, check that out. This is so much cooler and so much more organic and friendly to look at than this. So screw this. So you saw how easy that was. All I did was hold my shift button and change my pressure on my pen a little bit as I draw. Maybe erase the tips of the line, maybe put a couple breaks in it like that. That's already the closest, quickest way to get into the mindset of doing things by hand. Now, if you don't have a shift button, everything is white. Okay. Good times. Yeah, let's bring it up. Let's get this exposure down. Sorry, guys. I really, really wish that they had screen share in YouTube's. It's really quite appalling, honestly. Oh, there we go. So let's get the exposure up and the gain down. Somewhere like, yeah. There. How's that? Is it still bleached? Oh, no. Okay, now you can see. Great. Let's just make it a tiny bit darker. There we go. Okay. So anyways, these lines are just like, they're not just lines. They're also the mindset. The mindset of I can draw. And let's say you don't even have a ruler tool or a shift screen. Yeah, XSplit is also, yeah, XSplit and OBS have like pissed me off over time. They just eat so much resources and they create lag and stuff. So this is without a ruler. I'm just drawing straight lines. Why am I drawing them at this angle? Because at this angle, my hand is very precise. Or doing this one, like a pull. That's a very precise straight line. Now I can just put it in position to make a line. Now, why do this? Because things made by hand are cooler than computery things. I've got a little bubble in there, kind of pull part of it off. There we go. Sure, whatever. You see? So this is the first step. Now, I know this is just drawing a damn line, but you guys know how I am. Like, this is a big part of the mindset of making things by hand. Like, how do you draw a straight line? Like, I don't like this part, got a little too wavy, so I'm just going to go back in and kind of append the line. This part's going over, let's just kind of erase the tips. See, it's like making your own notebook paper. So this is like one of the first things that I need to make my character sheet are these lines. I'm going to use these in multiple places. Now, usually there's going to be something like up here for your name and stuff like that. So we're just going to stick that right there. Okay, now all the cool things happen in bubbles and boxes and like a frame for the picture and where you put your bonus. What do? You draw a box. I'm not even going to use the shift key anymore. I'm just going to draw a box. See how my lines aren't straight? At first, you're going to be like, geez, man, this looks horrible. But just stay patient. Go in, get them as straight as you can. But remember, if you really wanted precision, you would just use, box tool and stuff. You're doing this way to not be precise. Okay, so there's my box. Let me get it on another layer so I can just kind of cruise around with it. There we go. Woo, 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 woo. Okay. So now is like, wow, what kind of game is this? Is this a dark and scary game? Or is this like a cheerful game? You know, as you guys mentioned in the comments, like, is this cartoony? Does this feel too cartoony to me? Kind of feels a little bit cartoony. So let's clean it up just a little bit. I got an eraser. Cool. Already that's better. Now, so we still have that. Okay, so let's say that, you know, we're still in classic fantasy land. Getting close. Classic fantasy land always has bricks and freaking skulls and stuff like that. So what are bricks? They're just little boxes. And they alternate like this. Right? Okay, don't do a bunch of them. Just do a few of them. Kind of make a little mess on there. I don't know. I'm just kind of scribbling now. I don't know what I'm doing. Now I'm just, I don't know, these, what is this, dirt? There's little boxes. Okay, great. Cool. Now I'm lazy, right? Just like the lazy DM. But right now I am feeling a little on the lazy side because I don't want to take forever to do this. I'm out of time. So kind of just copy those bricks, paste them down. And like this brick's a little different. This one's a little different. There's a little crack in it. This little thing. And I'm making bricks. And I can make this into a little castle. You know, I can put little battlements here up on the top. Now you're kind of like, Hankerin, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I thought we were making a character sheet. We are. And that is what's so weird about this mindset, is that this detail work and this just kind of having a good time and getting in here, this is what is going to make it cool. Because you're going to reuse the shit out of all this stuff. So let's take like that right there. And right away, I need to do, say, my stats. And I was like, oh, before I get involved in some kind of weird brick box thing, I need to do my stats. So I'm just going to grab the top of it, flip it over, sure, whatever. Get rid of these little battlement things I just drew. Whoop, hey, look at that. I suddenly have a cool, like, accented line. Just fixing up where I did my erasing. Wow, that's kind of neat, actually. I wonder what that's for. I don't care. That's just it. You don't care. You don't worry about it. I know I'm going to need like a bubble for like a stat bonus or something. So I'm going to draw a circle. Remember my old adage, just draw something, then draw it again. And that's how you'll draw it better and give it line weight and give it interesting variation. Okay, maybe put a little bit of a shadow on the bottom. Cool. Look at this. This is shaping up. Maybe cut a little space where the circle can hook on. Grab the circle, stick it on here. Scribble in this little interface area. There we go. Put some little dots because dirt is cool. There we got something. I'm like, wait a minute. Usually the name of the stat is to the left of the bubble. So let's just squish this in, like that. Fix up any cruft we got where it doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right. Cool. Each little piece of cruft you introduce is going to make it cooler and cooler and cooler. See, instead of like worrying, like with your lasso tool, like let me just carefully grab like everyone. No, just don't worry about it. Just be a little bit sloppy and just let the fun of it come through. At the very end, if something's looking wrong, okay, worry about it then. So let's flip this sucker. And now I'm like, ooh, kind of, this is cool. Would this work for like, you know, like my strength bonus? I don't know. Let's throw in STR. Now here's where I'm going to set this aside for later and you'll see why. But here's where people are just going to be like, what the hell are you doing? So I just rasterize my type all the time. I work with type as pixels so that I can draw on it. I can erase it. I can play with it. Because, you know, type is always like this editable layer. And it's like, oh, but how are you going to go back and edit it later? And I'm like, I'm not. It's pixels right now. Okay, there we go. Done. Now, wait a minute. I could do something a little smarter. I could give you a little bit of room for like what you got when you're building your character. And then you could use the big bubble for your final bonus. Or like your root stat and your derivative stat if you're playing like 5e. A little bubble, stick it right up there. Merge it down. I have to deal with this after I just stick it on the same layer. But I don't care. Just relaxing. Get a little black, kind of play around with this little kind of interface right here. Boom. There you go. That's one of my stat blocks. So now if we're kind of doing D&D, which, aren't we all? We're doing like, let's say we're doing OSE. These guides will help me make them set them up nice and straight. 3 at a time, so it doesn't take me a long time. Bada boom, bada bing. Get a nice big fat eraser. Get rid of this junk. Not every stat is strength. See what I mean? I just don't use a lot of tools. I just use my pen and just kind of let it happen like a kid. And that starts our main stat block. So you see how, like, right away, okay, yeah, it does look a hair cartoony with this box. Why is that? Let's figure it out. I think it's because the edges are too wonky. So I use the edge of my piece of paper as a ruler. So let's get it where it's straighter. Oh, wait, that fucked it up even worse. Okay, go here. Use this little tool. Get that side straight. And I'll be like, man, I don't really feel like dealing with that left side. It's just kind of, how do I get that straight? I don't know. Let's just kill it. Just grab this side and stick it on there. Yeah, sure, that's close enough. Whatever. Fix up these little holes. Boom. Look how much less cartoony that looks. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I'm just running with, whatever D&D stats might be. So there's my box. Now, I'm still not satisfied because, boxes are kind of important. I'm going to add a little more character here. I'm going to add like another little border line. And, occasionally I'm using my shift tool and occasionally I'm not. Sometimes you use your ruler and it will give you a little more of like a sort of finished or official look. So you like clean that line up a little bit, clean this outer line just a bit, and just use your instincts. Fuck it. Now that's cool. Feeling good. This also gives me every other box on the entire damn sheet. Just by doing this. Come on. Obey me. There we go. Little arrow keys. And I'm like, where is it going to mate in there properly? When is it going to be a friend? Come on, be a friend. And then I'm like, I'm tired of doing this. So I'm going to just start using simpler tools. Like when I'm nudging and using layers and things are just like getting annoying, I just stop and I just wind up using my simple tools, my pen and my eraser. Now I've got this cool box. Going to need multiple boxes as we do, proficiency and attacks and stuff like that. So you can see, and this is for doing like quite an advanced one. You could do it far simpler and really go fast. So there's that one. All right. Now, what about the interfacing, Hankrin? You guys probably notice I do a lot of interfacing on my sheet. Now, right away, I'm annoyed that there are layers all over the place. I make them all one layer. Do you see how I just did that? That'll make some people cringe. Like, well, what if you want to go back? What if you want to edit things on separate layers? I don't know. I can't deal with that. Too annoyed. Moving on. I got to stay happy to work fast. So I'm just doing, what are these? I don't know, little strings and spider webs and stuff. Just kind of cool. I put little nubbins on things. Like, what are these? Here's a little nail stuck in there. Here's a little like screw that's screwed into the side of this thing. I don't know why. Great. Okay, doing cool. All right, now maybe some stuff's going on right here. And ooh, wait a minute. What's that feeling I feel? What's all this black ink? This is one of the most core principles that I can offer you for making custom character sheets, is that rather than try to create emphasis on your sheet with size, do it with darkness. And so if we go all the way back to the Deathbringer sheet, check that out. You see how heavy blocks of darkness? You really have about 7 of them here, and that's where your eye goes. And that's really is a trick for the ages. Like right here, there's only one thing to look at. It's this black block. The STR is a little bit distracting because it's kind of heavy, but that black block is really pulls your eye to it. And as you look at this scene right here, you can feel your eye pulled into this darkness. And that is a huge, huge tip for making character sheets by hand, is that darkness will pull the eye. So if you want players looking at, do this. See what I'm doing? I'm just scribbling it in. This will create what you can call like almost like gravity to the eye. Now let's look again. Wait, yes. See that? You see how now the stat blocks, the bubbles, are starting to like balance with the box that has the tab underneath. Like you kind of, your eye starts to bounce, and try to be honest and relax your gaze here. That weight is probably the biggest tip I can give on making character sheets, is know what you want players to look at and use black ink to pull them into looking at those key things. And they'll suddenly feel like they just get it better, which is a feeling that everybody knows. That really does make a game more fun to play, is you look at your sheet and you just feel like you get it. Whether you do or not is almost irrelevant. The feeling is what's fun. So you start to feel how the stat block, like the lines are the thing my eye are drawn to the least because they're so lightweight. They're a little too big too, so let's just kind of bring them down, maybe make them a little wider. This is where we're going to write our name and stuff like that up here. Okay, so we're a far cry from a finished sheet just on those tips, right? So how do I get into the magic of what makes sort of a sheet really stick together? And I think this is really having a nice, fun, loose sense of what your frame is. And it's kind of like looking at a TV. Like right away, I just want to sort of say, hey, this sheet isn't going to get any closer to the edge of the paper than this line. And you know what? This line has little fibbles and bibbles on it, because that's just how I am. Just a little bit of looseness, you know. And remember that mindset that there's just no mistakes. You simply are. You exist here. This is your space. So there you go. So, wow, suddenly things aren't like falling off the page. That's interesting. Wait a minute, though. The top feels weird to me. And this is a trick I do in a lot of my sheets, is that I will put a like logo element on the top. Now, on a lot of sheets, you know, they'll just have it like kind of like here. But I really like something strong because I feel like it gives you like containment. Like it makes you feel sort of cozy, like you have a roof over your head. Let's just get ourselves like a nice hefty line, like right here. And then up to there. And so whatever that space is, I kind of have it free. So I'm just using a lasso right now to make a nice big chunk. And we're going to make this black. Boosh, like that. And see how suddenly this sensation is so weird on the eye. Like your eye always starts at the top now. It's so weird how our brains work like this. But you can feel it. Like your eye sinks into that black void there and then works its way down through the sheet. And this may seem like aesthetic stuff, right? Like, you know, hankering, you're just kind of being an artist, like a Photoshop artist, and you're just drawing a character sheet. Like, what is this about? I actually think that it's really far more sublime than that. That a good flow to a sheet makes a player feel like they're understanding, instead of that terrible feeling you get with, like, you know, say forms like tax forms or contracts, or, you know, like signing a lease for your new apartment. There's no graphic design. And so when you look at it, you just, not only do you feel a little bit baffled, but I got news for y'all that you already know. So it's not really news. When you feel baffled, it's not a good feeling. It's a negative feeling. It makes you feel dumb. And when you feel dumb, you have less fun. But we don't want that. We want to have maximum amount of fun. So graphic design and using the way that the eye moves around in space is going to make your players learn faster, feel more competent, and have more fun. And that's why I really wanted to do a stream about this. Partially just to demythify it too. You guys know that I'm like all about like taking the secrecy or the sort of the, oh, well, that's what I do for my trade. And I don't want to show you, you know, like how I make baseball bats. I totally want to show you how I make baseball bats. So anyways, right here, I took a piece of the sort of character art frame, right? So your character's going to be here. Wait, he has a cravat. And a black shirt. I'm getting distracted. He's got hair. Yes. Yes. It's the level 17 bard. Okay, so I took a little piece of that frame and just sort of cloned it out over here. Why? I don't know. I don't know. And that to me is a huge part of really doing better art, is not doing just the things that you're supposed to, just doing a thing cuz. So I have this kind of like top of a castle wall. What purpose could this possibly serve? None. And you know what? I'm not really a guy who's all about utility. I'm an artist, and I'm a bit of a, you know, a creative teacher, and someone I would like to think is sort of funny. I don't really think about utility. I just think that needs to be there. I don't know. So actually, wait, that's a cool spot for some other important stats we need to do. So let's get one of these lines out of the way because I don't like it. I don't think I need that many to write my information anyway. And then boop, boop. Okay, we're going to put armor class here. Wait a minute, something's wrong. This is where tangents come into play. Now, some people use guides to do tangents. Tangent is basically a cool word that makes you feel smart. That means like how things line up and how lines sort of meet each other and align in different ways. Tangency means things that are lining up and meeting and sort of pointing at each other in pleasant ways. I think I'm going to kill these little battlement things because they're eating up precious character sheet space. All right, so now I have this little stony bit. And now I'm going to do my armor class and hit points, which, you know, I know that not every system is D&D, but whatever. So let's just do it. And whoa, Hankrin. Bruh, you're drawing that way too big, bruh. Doesn't matter. Just relax. If you're going to draw something bigger than its intended use size, draw it a little fatter too. And drawing fatter is always easier than drawing with tiny lines. Put some little rivets on my little shield here. Maybe it's got a little bit of battle damage from its journeys through the Underdark. Maybe a little rim line to kind of make it feel like it's got a hammered kind of edge on it, like a shield. Done. Good enough. Take that. That's going to be our armor class bubble. And then I'm like, wait a minute. There's that cartoony feeling again. I don't like it. Just grab half of it, disappear it, grab the other half, flip it, and attach it. And suddenly your graphics look all precise. Like, oh, wow, man, did he draw that shield symmetrical or what? Still a little too big. Get it where it's kind of comparable to your strength bubble. Boom. We want to do a heart? Okay, cool. Let's do a heart. So do we want to do a heart like fun, cartoony heart, or do we want to do a grim, realistic, bloody, pulmonary heart? What do you guys think? Oh, hey, Renegade, what's up? I think I want to go with realism. Right. Okay, burning heart. Great. So let's just do like this kind of thing. It's kind of a blob. It's got an aorta over here and a vena cava or whatever. It's got some little veins on there. There's the heart. Remember, I want players to write in this, so I can't use up all the space. Ooh, I got dark there. That could be good or it could be distracting. There's a little thing of, and then what you were saying, it's burning? Like there's fire around it? That's kind of crazy. hand holding it. Okay, cool. Let's just get in there and do that detail work. So now you guys are thinking with that kind of that child mind. You're not worried about how fillable the sheet is. You just want a hand holding a freaking heart. Molaram Sudaram. Am I right? So, hey, wait a minute. I don't draw that good though. How am I going to draw a hand? And I'm not talking about me because, like Keith said, I'm going to stop telling myself that. So I'm going to down here. I'm going to get ready with a hand. Okay, and let's just keep it simple. Moloram Suraram. Moloram Suraram. So I'm like, man, I don't know about drawing hands. It's never easy. Let's get in here and put a little thumbnail on there and a little thing. Okay, that's about as good as I can do for my hand. I'm going to grab my heart and kind of stick it in there. Moloram Suraram. Moloram Suraram. Okay, now just to be safe, fit it on. And then use that eraser, get rid of those fingers. There you go. There's your hand. So really a hand is just a little more than a thumb. But the fun part is the hand is disembodied. So you got two cool little bones sticking out. Right? Okay. And then this is the part where you can really noodle away the hours. You know, you can really use up a lot of time doing this. Here's like the other ventricle back here. And usually the hit point display has a maximum and current readout. So we'll try to do that too. There's some weird spots and stuff. This is like, you know, like Vecna's hand or something. Okay, cool. Looking good. We're getting kind of grim. So the rest of the sheet is now going to need to reflect that grim aesthetic. Okay, let's say I want to put it right there. I want to give it some space so I can put it right there. Meaning right down here, it just doesn't quite feel right to me. Actually, that fits pretty good. No, because I want it like right there. I don't know why. I just do. I don't like how that's interfacing, so I'm just going to make room for it. Look at that. Boop, boom. Now draw it in, kind of just scribble some connections between lines that weren't friends before. Now you're going to make the bigger, more important decisions. The shield has blood on it? Sure. There we go. So here's the big part. Are we getting enough read as far as weight goes? Yes. Yes, we are. I think, though, you want to look at these a little more. So let's just do this. Just add weight or add darkness, add heft. This will pull the eye. Let the player know this is more important stuff. And then, like, maybe you need to do max right there. And we need a thing that says armor class up above and clean a little bit of this dirt out so you can write in this space easily. And then, like, I'm going to imply that there's an area here for them to make a mess with their hit points as they mark them off and scribble and mark temporary hit points and other little notes. And so I'm just going to use that mindset that we did to make our lines in the very beginning to make a quick box. Using tools and doing everything on a separate layer and doing it all like in such a cautious, overly detailed mindset, just doing that quick little box would really derail your progress. But we're not going to be like that. We're going to get it done real quick. And then some little connectivity too. Just, I don't know why, because it's fun. This is like where I write my max. Actually, I could probably just write it by hand here. Doot, 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 doot. There goes max. So like the words like armor class and hit points, stuff like that, I'll do. And remember when I set that text piece aside earlier? It's right here. The reason I did that, so I can use it. It's kind of like my little ace in the hole. So I always have a text thing that I can use in the back. Sure, that fits right in there. Kind of cool. Where's this guy go? I don't know. He wants to line up with AC. I know that much. That's that tangency. I'm just using my arrow keys. There you go. I think that's where it lives. Now we kind of just need to like unify this feeling so it's apart from the shield. So I'll just extend this mess box for you. See that? Just in 2 little pen lines. Made that feel like an area that you can use. Got it more complete feeling. Gave it the weight it needs to pop on the sheet. Like, you just accomplished so much. There's some grass growing right here. I don't know. Pretty cool, right? But now my armor class feels just a little bit high. I don't like that. I mean, everyone wants to be a little bit high, but this is just too high. So, whoop, boop, boop, boop. There we go. That fits better. Now I just kind of fix up my little bricks that I kind of just erased sloppy. See, how would I have never known before that I needed to have like a little bit of rubble there in the bricks to make room for the shield? I wouldn't. Check that out. That's feeling cool, guys. What made me just do that? Well, it's that feeling of balance, feeling of looking for the black sort of leading me around the sheet. Happy little accidents. That's right. That is right. Amen. So I more so than wanting to sort of show you guys the exact sort of drawing process, I really wanted to just shine a bright light on getting into making a character sheet. Okay, now we got our final part of the stream tonight. So anyways, thank you guys so much for the, throwing in little ideas here and there. I really appreciate it. I'll worry about saving this or something later. Maybe you guys will see this popping up later for use. Okay, so hey, I'm still over here. Can you guys, there I am. So final thing. So what I wanted to do for my players is something really special as far as really giving them a connection to these characters, because there's something really magic about this group and I really want to have fun with it. So this is the final trick I want to show you guys, and it really is something else. Okay, so I hope you guys can see my screen well by this point, because seeing it clearly is important. Can everyone hear? What does it look like? Yeah, okay, it's pretty clear. Delrian, all this stuff will be archived. So yeah, you can always watch tomorrow or whatever. I really wanted to do something special for my players, and I knew that I wanted to surprise them with the best miniatures I could possibly get my hands on. So the first thing I did was I'm just going to write the steps out for you guys, and then I'm going to show you the results, because it's fucking exciting. One, let me get a nice big pen so you can see. Find minis based on Descript. So my players did a little bit of drawing on their characters on their sheets. This live stream is fucking crazy. All right. They did a little bit of drawing on their sheets, but don't worry about that. As the DM, you know what they're describing to you as far as what the character's really is defined by. Then in secret, go find minis that are based on those descriptions, not their drawings. Like, really look at the descriptions and who you know that character to be in your mind. Find the minis. This is no simple task. And 3D printing is okay. Honestly, I can't stand minis that aren't metal. They have to be metal. So you've got to find the really cool minis that fit the concepts. Okay. What's up, Chris? Sorry about the cussing. Okay. So find those minis. 2. So Atris Miniatures is my favorite mini painter. So get the miniatures to Atris. Okay, so he's going to paint these minis for me. This is not unusual for a dungeon master to do for his or her players, to set them up with really well-made miniatures. So Atris is the best mini painter I know. So he's going to do the miniatures for them. But I want to take it to another level. I want to blow their minds. So this right here would normally blow a player's mind. Number 3. Get primer photos. Okay, when your painter, if that's you, gets the minis and then they're primed, take photos, especially close-ups of those miniatures. And then 4, create art. You are creating, or at least my case, I am custom creating the character art directly from photos of the miniatures so that there is a profound link between the character art and the miniatures. And then the character art is also going to go into a custom character sheet. This is how you fucking do it. Boom. Here are the miniatures that I chose. Okay, so let's get in. Let's really get in. Okay, let's start with our halfling. So these are photos that were sent to me by Atris. Jorge is his name. And this is our halfling. I knew about this miniature weeks and weeks ago, and so in our second session, I actually made sure that he got this lantern item in the game. He doesn't know that yet, though. He doesn't know that. I want to get right. I want you guys to get in here. Okay, take that in for a second. That's the miniature that Atris is currently painting for my player. And there's the art. Do you see the craziness? There's the miniature. There's the miniature. There's the art. So I used the miniature and drew from it kind of like a still life to get a perfect link between the art and the miniature so that the feeling of it being a character who is like there, who actually exists, is profound. Now, your final step, and then I'll show you the rest of them. The final step is now to incorporate it into the sheet. So I take that art once it's done, and I put it into my custom OSE sheet, which you guys can get either on my Patreon, or I think it might be available for download on Necrotic Gnome. I'm not sure. But so now you get this art that's on the sheet that perfectly matches his miniature. So you get this linkage that is unparalleled, honestly. So exactly how do you do it? Well, it's going to take a little bit of drawing skill. Before we get into that, though, let me show you the other ones. So real quick, kind of commit these to your mind. It's kind of a fun, it is kind of next level. I'm really excited about this, Dennis. Thank you for the compliment. So here we have our elf. Here we have our high charisma fighter. And here we have our human mage, but who was raised by dwarves, who has been sort of artificially aged by using powerful magic. So you guys saw my halfling, the lantern carrier. Here is our mage, if you remember what the miniature looked like. Just using the miniature photo creates such a damn profound link. It's amazing. Here's our rogue, our elf. See, I didn't like how his arm from the miniature was coming right into the camera, so I just kind of put his arm down to get it out of the way, but made sure to capture, like here, just for a reminder, there's the miniature. There's the art. Isn't that a wild feeling? So then finally, we have our high charisma fighter with his hairdo, and I gave him a polka dot cravat. This is a little bit of a character that I wouldn't normally draw, but boy, does it fit his character and who he's described himself as. And then it links right to the miniature. Like the exact same collar, the same armor, the same sword, the same sleeves. So there are my 4 miniatures. Yeah, there's my artwork. So then you go back to my OSE sheet. If you guys just want, if you guys are playing OSE and you just want to use this sheet, just hit me up. Those minis are all Reaper minis. I'm a diehard old school Reaper fan. Their old metal minis are just my favorite, and I really like Ralpartha as well. So if you guys want to get a copy of this sheet, totally just hit me up or jump on the Patreon for $1. I'm really enjoying this sheet. It's really fun. Got fun little details. So there's the halfling. There's the elf, the wizard, and you can see that I'm kind of playing with them, sort of breaking the tangent a little bit so they really pop forward. And then our charismatic fighter. But yeah, this wizard is just, I mean, come on, how badass is that? Ridiculous. So then you just print it out on your printer with the art already in, and they fill the sheet out again. Now, a lot of you guys who have played a good bit, you know that players will fill a sheet out over and over again. As they learn the game, they'll learn how to fill their sheet out in the way that is the most useful for them. Yeah, the mini searcher thank you, Prawn, by the way. The Reaper has a mini search tool that you can really narrow down thousands of miniatures to find what you need. Named by the namer. If you need to hit me up, you can use Instagram. I'm hankerin.fernail on Instagram, or you can email me directly at hankerin.fernail@gmail.com. I also do some of this custom work for a commission rate. If you want to experiment with taking it this far with your players, it's definitely a sort of next level. In my mind, it's a little crazy, but man, the results here are profound to me. They're truly profound. And as a player, I always really relate to my miniature, almost more so sometimes than my entire character concept. So I'll try to get this sheet that we started working on tonight. I'll try to get this one done. I'll do it for OSE. It will also be available on my Patreon. And yeah, Professor Dungeon Master did Deathbringer. I did the sheet for him. Get ready to take a ride. Whoa. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at. There we go. Okay. Now I'm in the darkness. Whoa, look at that. I'm brooding. I'm dark and brooding. I'm dark and brooding. Look at me. I'm dark and brooding. Okay, there we go. Now I'm normal. All right, get this tripod out of my life. Let's get this microphone back where it should be so you get smooth, silky sound. Hey guys, it's me, Hankering. Old Ingrid Bernal here. Chutney's moving around. He probably needs to go pee. Really happy though that I can even do streams because he's growing up enough. Here, we got to get some Chutney King. Oh, where are you going, Chet? Come here, bud. And let's do a couple of questions. Oh, are you tired? Come on. Come on. Oh man, is he big? Look at the size of this dog. All right. Let's do the question part featuring Chutney. There he is, guys. Look how big and beautiful he is. He is amazing. Am I crazy for codifying the rules and such that I want to use? Absolutely not. Unless you're really crazy, you're not crazy. So you're probably not crazy. You're probably just a little bit crazy. Like the good kind of crazy. I hack rules a lot and feeling if I don't write them down, I might be inconsistent. You know, Caustic, that is how you start. Whoops. That's how you start. But in time, you'll write enough things down enough times, it'll just be off the top. And that's when you're really there. And I think knowing that that's your goal is a bit of a different mindset with making notes and creating, notes about rules and stuff like that. Like, I talked a lot about the morale roll, which I love in OSE. I think it's brilliant. And in the first session, I completely forgot to use it. And that's okay. Like learning to use rules from memory, that's the magic. 5e hardcore mode made a lot of moves in the OSE direction. Yeah. No, I didn't really know about it, Prawn. 5e hardcore mode was sort of the result of a lot of deep thinking done while I was moving across the country in a van with everything I owned, driving through a blizzard. And that experience gave me a lot of time to think, and just hardcore mode sort of just appeared in my mind. And it was also something inspired by Profession Dungeon Master. He really inspired me. He came up with the term hardcore mode. And so when I first did it, the first thing I did was ask him. I was like, hey, I did this creation. What do you think? Do you want credit? Do you want to share the revenue? And he's just like, nah, go for it. How does this process of handmaking a character sheet change if you're to make it directly on paper? The one key change is ruler. You need a ruler, and you also need ruler skills. But I would not really worry too much about making a mess. So I would probably do a little bit of some of the basics in pencil with a ruler, then toss your ruler and get your pen out and do the rest. But obviously it's a little less flexible when you're doing it straight to paper. But if you can do it straight to paper and then photocopy it, that's boss. I have an idea for character sheet, an illuminated manuscript. Well, you're basically citing one of the greatest, most complex, most detailed works of art and forms of works of art on the planet. So yeah, illuminated manuscripts are beyond challenging. Here you go, buddy. Sorry, puppy life. I got to be my papa. I got to be that puppy papa. Yeah, so rock that. What would you think about playing RPGs solo, and any tips? I don't think about that at all. I don't get that. I've never done it. I don't understand. How would you design your lovely pet's barding? I don't know what barding means. How would you design your lovely pet's barding? I'm not sure what barding is. You've got me flat-footed, Damien. Yeah, Sabbath is the theme for Viking Death Squad, Monomarth. Yeah. Jesse, because it became such a gigantic project for me, that sort of became a cloud of songs, and that will be included in the book, kind of like in the errata kind of appendices about songs that I think inspire sessions. But it's become such a huge mess of ideas. I can't just call out. Really, the War Pigs is still the foundational song of the game idea. Animal armor. Oh, well, Chutney doesn't wear armor. Chutney ain't gonna wear no armor. No, he's not a fighter. He's a poet. Yeah, Christopher, actually, I do a lot of tattoos. I've done half a dozen tattoos in the last few months. I do tattoos for a lot of people. I've done D&D themed tattoos. I've done weird spirally ones. I've done lettering tattoos. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. When you're making a living as an artist, you just do everything that comes in the door, basically. Barding. Yeah, I would just say armor then. Hey, what's your barding class? What? I'm not a bard. I'm a wizard. Oh, great. Did I reach? No one has any questions. That's how incredibly thorough this double-sized stream was. Nobody got no questions. And I'm about to finish off my second can of delicious oak-aged Valkyrie's Choice. Thank you so much, by the way, again, Park. What a gift, man. This is fantastic. And it doesn't leak, which is miraculous for a horn cup. Chutney is a Boston Terrier. That's the type of chutney that he is. Into the Void. Absolutely, man. When using minis train, what adjustments to the prep? If you're using minis in a lot of detail, your prep's probably going to talk about that a little bit, but the same principles apply. I know that these principles are kind of like assholes. They're kind of tough. Like, you seriously want me to just memorize my content? Yes, I do. to be the best GM you can be, I think you have to be playing mostly from memory with your notes there to prove that there's consistency in your idea creation, but not that you're playing from notes, even when you're using, you know, miniatures and everything like that. What's it like? I don't think it's lined at all, Keith. It feels horny on the inside and the outside. I don't think you could put this in the dishwasher, though, and I might not ever wash it. I'll do it like my teacup, where it just gets a sort of a film of mead on it. All right, Cameron, what's up? Do you go through lots of remarkable tips? You wouldn't believe how many. you would not believe how many tips I go through. I'm probably somewhere in the 50s or 60s now. Well, but that's what's beautiful about them too. Will we ever get a GURPS theme stream? No, GURPS is in the distant past. It had its place and it was wonderful, but no. I'm just getting into OSE. I haven't even done a stream yet about some of the rules, foibles, and interestingness of OSE yet. I'm using it in its most basic form. I just think it's fucking brilliant. And not because the ideas, because the delivery of these ideas. So I don't think we really need to go back to something like GURPS that didn't really prove to have the longevity that something like the rules inside of OSE have. I don't think you could take someone who'd never played any RPGs before and say, hey, you want to play GURPS? And they would get excited. I don't think it has that cultural saturation factor. Yeah, Cyrus. I do a lot of tattoos, more than I think people really know about. My partner is constantly trying to convince me to get a gun and to get into tattooing and stuff. I maybe as a late stage in life I could be a tattooer, but that remains to be seen. Do you role play the hirelings and retainers? And Cyrus can speak to this a little bit too. In my mind, I always have very dramatic NPCs, but when it comes to the table, I usually just describe them as if they're in a book. I don't really do a lot of acting like the sort of Matt Mercer method. I don't do like, hello, I'm an old man. Would you like to talk to me? And I'll pretend I'm the old man. Begin. I do that a lot less than just describing it. I'll say like, yeah, there's this old guy. He works in this shop. Looks like he's worked here forever. And he basically says to you, feel free to shop. You see what I mean? I stay inside my voice, but I describe my characters as if they're in my imagination. And I think it's a good way to avoid that really scary feeling of doing, creative voice acting and role playing for your characters. OSE encumbrance, I would say ditch it and just do a on or off encumbrance rule. Are you encumbered? Yes. Okay, shit's going to be a little bit difficult. Are you not encumbered? No. Okay, you're fine. Rather than trying to track numbers. Do you use the 1d6 test in OSE or ability checks to replace the skill checks? Only rogues have the percentage skill checks. There aren't really skills on other people, so we do everything in saves and abilities. Saves and abilities and attack rolls are like what we're doing all night long, as well as just made up rolls like, how many arrows, accidentally hit the roof as you try to fire out of the monastery. Like those are the kind of thing, how cold is it? Those are the kind of rolls we do a lot more of. Question, I have a little idea to do an RPG, but with Magic the Gathering matches mixed in. No, I don't know anything really about Magic the Gathering or matches or PvP in general. Oh, it has on-off encumbrance. Yeah, perfect. And exactly how much that is, I wouldn't worry about it. When I just see a character overly hoarding, encumbered. It's not a number. It's a state of being. It's a narrative state. If you do voices, you're Olympia. Yes. And I do voices too. I almost always do my old man, and I do high English, and I always do my Scottish dwarves. Common sense strikes again. Oh my gosh, Stormblood. What is up, dude? Yay. It's a family reunion up in this bitch. Have you read Knave yet? Yeah, Knave is brilliant. Knave is amazing. But Knave is not as comprehensive as something that I need. And it's also, I think, hard to really lure, completely new players with Knave. They feel like they're playing an indie RPG, even though they're really playing something like OSE. But I know these aren't factors that you can really judge a rule system on, but they are factors in making the hobby exciting for people. And if they think or feel that they're playing D&D proper, that's exciting for people. And Knave really is that, but comes off in a much more relaxed presentation, I think, and feels more indie. And I think for better or for worse, that spins a lot of inexperienced players off. They're kind of like, are we playing like an indie RPG? What is this stuff? Like GURPS, it was a really hard sell to make. Is it a cool system? Yeah, but hey, you guys want to play GURPS? They're like, oh, no, I got band practice that night. Well, Frogboy, no, Frogboy lives where Frogboy lives. I put a lot of work into a Frogboy book. I wrote the whole story. I did about a third of the art. And I realized that Frogboy is sacred because it's just a bunch of stupid random stuff. It doesn't need to be exploited. I don't know what Last Gasp Grimure. I don't know what that is. John Spencer, I have no thoughts on that. That is no longer to be thought about. Renegade, I remember you had a whole suit of medieval armor. Oh yeah, I have a suit of plate armor. I do have it. It's in storage with like a lot of my stuff back in Washington. So I haven't really found my direction in life yet. There's a lot of options, which are, I guess, kind of personal, which are ahead. I really don't know where I'm going in the world or in life. And, when you're an artist and you're coming into your 50s, you need to think about doing art that matters, that makes people happy, and where you want to go. And yeah, so I love having stuff, but I like adventure more than stuff. Hello, sir. Could you offer? Hello, Adam Smith. Nice to meet you. The point in your life when you decide to strike out on your own. Oh man, thank you. Um, Thank you for asking that, Adam. I appreciate that. I'm coming up on 5 years of being completely independent, and 5 years ago, I joked about it as retiring. I retired on April 10th, 5 years ago, and the moment I decided, well, it is a leap of faith. I'm not sure how to describe it. It was inevitable. It was something that I was putting so much mental effort into remembering my dungeon master roots, because I did take a couple years off there. And when I got back into it, I got back into it with such excitement. And and in my mind, I was like, yeah, I had walked away from DMing for a while there, and I was blue. And all my friends were like, dude, the first thing you ever mentioned when I met you was D&D, and the thing you're mentioning right now is D&D. Like you've never walked away from it. You just took a breather. Like it's the path I've been on since I was like 12. And it isn't because it's like the greatest thing in the world. It's just something that's been fun for me. I love drawing for D&D, not just drawing for drawing, but drawing for people making characters. There's something very specific about that. And that's sort of the root of what gave me the confidence to go for it. Also, the frustration with what jobs are like nowadays. And I know that a lot of people are frustrated with jobs and they don't really have an option of how to sort of get out of there. And so you got to work hard at whatever you do. But as a person working creative jobs where I was doing the same skills, drawing, telling stories, coming up with ideas for monsters and battles and heroes and equipment and landscapes and settings for battles and stuff like that, those were my jobs as well as my passion. And so I did reach a point where I was like, why am I putting so much work into someone else's gain? And I do have to tell you, like, it did come at a terrible price. And that's something that I think about, whenever it's Runehammer Day on April 10th. I don't know the series of causal elements involved, but when I did strike out on my own, I had a backup person. It was my spouse at the time. And I said, well, if I don't make enough to survive in the first year, then I need an agreement that you'll at least give me a 1-year backstop so that I can pull up. I need that space. And it was a total agreement. And when the time came, not only did I blow that goal out of the park, I completely left that in the rearview mirror. I blasted all of my goals to pieces, which I'm really thankful for. But somehow that created resent in my marriage, and that marriage ended. And so while I was starting Runehammer and being independent, I was getting fucking divorced, and like it was horrible. I mean, it was terrible. Like heartbreak is fucking terrible. Um, but it's also part of life. It's part of growing up. It's part of being better. It's part of learning how to love people, and how to get the love that you need. So for me, like it's a big deal every time Runehammer Day comes up, and not just because of the business aspect of it, but because it's sort of I don't know, it's a proclamation that, like when you do hard things, it's hard. And you earn your spot. Like there's no shortcuts. I don't believe in shortcuts. You really have to dig a hole with your bare hands. But at the same time, it also comes back to luck, and it comes back to all of you guys and girls and both and neither. It comes back to people supporting me for crazy reasons, which I'm slowly trying to understand and lean into. So I think it's a good thing to think about, each year is how you got here, where you want to go, and like the risks you're willing to take. And yeah, so these are hard lessons to learn, but it's good to think about them now and again. Give us some words on the name Runehammer. Well, as you guys know, I have a huge tattoo of Mjolnir on the back of my neck. Mjolnir to me is the Runehammer, and Runehammer is like a nickname for Mjolnir. That's Thor's hammer. Thor's hammer is to me is a symbol of the relationship between gods and people. And I like that idea. I like the idea that there is a physical object that is the go-between between things that are very big and hard to understand and powerful, and us struggling down here on the planet. And that to me is a powerful symbol, and that's what the Runehammer is. It's staying connected to really big concepts, but being down here where we need to dig holes and move rocks. And that connectivity to me is sort of a little bit what paganism is about, or Asatru, or whatever you want to call it, Norse mythology, religion, whatever. It's less so a series of beliefs than it is a series of personal sort of codes of conduct. And I find a lot of power in that symbol. The symbol Mjolnir is like it's a reminder that even a god needs a tool. Even a god needs a hammer to break a rock, to pound in a spike, or to stand up when his beliefs are threatened. It's like to me, that's very human. And I don't know, I find a lot of power in that, and that's why Runehammer is the name of my whole thing, is like that belief that we can be like that, but we got to scratch it out one little bit at a time. Folded Path retune. Yeah. Damien, it's totally antithetical, but I have tried so many times to write another choose your own adventure, and they just aren't working. So I just have to say whoa and keep moving. So I'm not sure that I'm going to write any more of those. That was an intensely arduous project. I do have a stub, sort of a starter on a book called Recode, and it is the sequel to Retune. It's got a lot less choices. It basically just has sort of like 5 big choices. So we'll see if that pans out. But Recode is something that I work on when I'm sort of tired of everything else and I just need a big mental reset. Yeah, Marvel didn't make Thor a female. That comes from the comics. And you're probably referencing Love and Thunder by which is Taika Waititi's next Thor movie. Yeah, female Thor is not new in any way. Fans of Thor know that Thor has been female. Thor has been a frog. Yeah, this is a huge part of the story. So I'm really excited they're getting into it. Did you see Kickstarter for physical dice with Bluetooth chips? Yeah, dice with anything inside them suck. I know it's exciting and it's gimmicky and whatever, but I don't know. I have several LED dice that light up when they roll a 20 and stuff. They suck. They just feel janky. Like maybe these ones are better. Good on them. I hope they succeed, but that's not for me. It's not a place I need technology. I don't need Bluetooth dice. Crying out loud. Call me old fashioned. After getting custom minis and drawing the characters, you know one player is going to immediately snuff it. Oh, you mean die? I doubt that. These are very cautious players. Have you done any writing inspired by sessions? No, I don't do that. I do not do that. I know it's somewhat popular to do a campaign and then sort of novelize it, and I don't do that. I really hold role-playing sessions in a very sacred way because I'm a weird nerd. So the sessions are secret. They're between us. It's our business. And what happens is okay, but you know, the fundamentals of it are not to be directly exploited. What are your favorite dice? Chessex Yellow. They're untouchably good. Also, Paladins are amazing. But yeah, Chessex Yellow. The Mouse Guard dice are great, but limited in utility. Chessex Yellow, man. Just solid colors, super readable, where you can really easily expand your set. My set's right here. Here, I can show you guys my dice set if you want. So this is how I do all of my stuff. By the way, it's nice to hang out with everybody here on Friday night. This is how I do the dice problem. This is how I solve the dice problem. This is like a little sort of microfiber case. Not sure what originally came in this. Microsoft. I think a mouse originally came in this. Microsoft. My favorite company, Microsoft. All right. So anyways, it's this zippable case. And inside is a treasure trove. So inside I keep all my Chessex Yellows. I have my my Necromancer set. These wonderful brass ones by Mike Novo in Omsk, Russia. He's basically the best dice craftsman in the world. Then I have some binary dice. I also keep magic rings and metal coins in there for players and stuff like that. I do have a yes, no, yeah. I have a directional die too. Yeah. So at Gen Con, I've never found it anywhere else, but here while we're looking at my dice case, look at this thing. At Gen Con, I found this enormous D4. Look at this. This thing is massive. Here, I'll show you a normal D4. 2 seconds. There's your comparison. Look at that. This gigantic D4 that I found at Gen Con. I love this thing. It's perfect for timers. Yeah. Yeah, I have been posting a ton on Instagram, and I've been I'm coming out of my shell as an artist. I'm really showing the world that I'm a super diverse, crazy, prolific artist. I've been doing this shit for decades, and I'm not shy about it anymore. And I'm using Instagram to say that. The nostalgia is great. So yeah. Anyway, this is kind of intriguing to me because remember what I said about phone wallet keys check for doing your prep. This is my phone if I'm prepping for a session. Like it's got my brass dice, you know, my crazy ones. It's got all my Chessex Yellows. And then I've got my metal coins, which I give out for like my version of inspiration. I've got these skull dice. Thanks, Cyrus. I use these for bad guys in the game, for monsters. I've got my Viking Death Squad dice, which are steel dice that I've sort of sanded and polished and shaded. And I also have a small collection of magic rings. So I hand out magic rings to players as gifts. And then the other gift thing I do, just while we're talking dice, because I mean, come on, who doesn't like to talk about dice, is these crazy ones. Look at these. So Misty Mountain Gaming created these amazing solid bone dice. Here's some dice here. This entire box is comprised of dice and magic rings. Look at these things. This is the D12. This thing is so cool, and they're made of solid bone that's been lathed. So for comparison, here's a Vortex D6. So like these things are really, really cool. So those I will also give out as gifts during a session, you know, for an MVP or whatever. But yeah, this is my. Everybody has like 3,000 dice that they, you know, like I'm no different. So was that just one question that kind of got out of hand there? But you know, that's a big part of the game. Like loving dice is fucking fun. Just embrace it. Why not? Dragonlance Volume 1. Oh man. Sturm, Cameron, and all that shit. Dragonlance was goddamn amazing. It was life-changing. What are you talking about? It's fucking fantastic. Yeah, that's all human bone. No, it's a water buffalo. What do you think a lot of us, why do you think we hoard dice? Because it's fucking cool. And you also learn over time which dice you really like. And so you have to learn that. Some people like hodgepodgey multicolored ones. Some people like them all to be one color. Like some people like metal, some people like stones, some people like plastic. I think it takes time to collect and find what you really like. Just about done. And when that cup's empty, this stream is over. Ajax, hey, what's up? Been a minute. Do you have any advice for wish spells? Yeah, avoid them at all costs. If you're going to introduce a wish spell into your game, really be prepared for what that means. And probably maybe even introduce something that is so bad that maybe that's the way out. But that's kind of like a proposed solution. I don't like that. Really, I don't ever fuck with wish. I really have not ever had it in a game. I have no experience. But my most recent memory that pops up is how it was used in the first season of Critical Role. I gotta say, it's a little scary. So it's a concept that's out there that that would be stretching my legs for me. Let me put it that way. If I could ask Gary Gygax one thing, what would it be? I don't know. Are you free on Tuesday night? Like, yeah, we should get together. If I could roll up a couple gnomes. You got a couple people that want to play. I don't really idolize Gary Gygax that much, but it would be fun to hang out. I don't really idolize people in general. I kind of I like meeting people on their own terms. I don't really want to put them. It's just odd. If you've ever met somebody that you kind of idolize, it's really awkward feeling. So I try not to do that. I had a great experience with Gates McFadden, who plays Beverly Crusher on Star Trek, and I had lunch with her this one time. And I doubt she would even remember that I even existed. But we basically sat in this sort of guest area at the Tucson Comic-Con, and we were both eating like the same like terrible ham sandwich. And I fucking love Star Trek Next Generation, so I felt kind of weird. You know, I was just like, whoa. And then over the next, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, as we're eating these ham sandwiches, I think it really dawned on me that this is just a person. That like the barrier of thinking it's some kind of idol or something, it was the only barrier. There was no other barrier. It's just a normal ass person who's just like trying to eat their sandwich, have lunch, and move on to the next thing, and like that to me was very illuminating. Like she taught me a great deal with her good manners and her good graces. And just to be a person, not to be some kind of something, you know. And like, I know that's a really, really random and obscure sort of celebrity encounter, but that happened down in Tucson, and it was awesome too. And it was also just different to see her like with her backpack and kind of cruising around a con. And it just reminds you, I think, that even your idols are just people exactly like you. And it's another thing that glues us all together. It's just like, people are people. I hate circular statements like that, but in this case, I think I'm gonna let it slide. Yeah, there is an idea for a dice set. I don't want to spoil that, but I'm basically working with Mike Novo. So we have only just begun. It's a long trek. But Mike Dovo, or Mike, really is the shit. He really is the premier craftsman on the planet, in my opinion, for this stuff. And so exactly how we reach a Runehammer set or whatever it may be, I'm not sure, but I can guarantee you that we will spare no expense and no amount of time to make a super sick set of dice from Mike Novo. He is amazing to me. He lives in Omsk, Russia, and I want to make a sister relationship between Philly and Omsk, like the way the world wants to think that like Russia and America are somehow like enemies or something. Maybe their governments don't like each other, but the people are people, and like we are united. And so you got to stay tuned on this one, because Mike is kind of doing the early sketches right now, and I'm doing some sketches, and we're going to try to create something goddamn amazing. I love his work so much. I can't like amp him enough. Like, go buy his dice. They are so effing cool. There are no words for how cool they are. And you will have to pay. They are not cheap. They are handmade, and they're shipped from Russia. So it's like, anyway, I've said too much. The Runehammer store probably won't sell stickers. You can only get the Runehammer sticker. That will never be issued any other way by being an immortal for 3 months, I think it is. There will be stickers in the Runehammer store, but they're just going to come with other shipments. Going to sneak them in. If you guys want a preview, because, hey, it's Friday night. We're kind of going all in. Here are the first run. So these are going to be on sale at the local flea market here in a couple weeks. We've got these Viking Death Squad stickers, which are all these have transparency. So whatever you see as white is transparent. We got this Skull Fungus sticker. We got another Skull Garden. We got these amazing prismatic Viking Death Squad stickers that are prismatic, like old BMX stickers from the 80s. And then probably my favorite, honestly, which is this green Viper sticker, which is just like classic like 80s BMX sticker to the max. Like, this is my shit right here. So yeah, these stickers are going to be the opening offering at the flea market here in a couple weeks. But anyone who orders something from the Runehammer store is going to get a sticker thrown in their box. The main thing on the Runehammer store is going to be 2 big releases. One is going to be the ICRPG Collector's Edition for a Master Edition, and then Viking Death Squad leather bound with the foil cover and stuff like that. So I'm still you can find me on all the other outlets that I've been doing over the years, but the Runehammer store is for the best of the best stuff that I can't do in bulk, but we can do some really nice things that might be a hair expensive, both for me and for the buyer. But we can make some really high-end things, which you can't really do using print on demand and stuff like that. So yeah, look forward to stickers. We're going to do a little bit of apparel and some other treats that I don't want to talk about, some special surprises. The store is about 1/3 of the way built right now. Yeah, there's so many different projects coming at me for commissions and stuff. I kind of have to mix it all up and just kind of follow my nose. And so I don't really know a date when I can tell you when things are all going to pop and stuff like that. But tons of people showing on Patreon sure as hell does not hurt. That really helps me take less commissions, which I don't know you guys really know how this all works, but the only thing that slows me down as Runehammer is doing commission work. Commission work is kind of unrelated, but it pays the bills. And so the more that Runehammer becomes Patreon sort of self-sustaining, the less commissions I have to say yes to each month. And like, that's how it all builds momentum. So that's it. Yeah. How would you handle making darkness non-trivial? I don't. I don't. If characters really want to see in the dark, let them see in the dark. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to do a bunch of crazy artificial darkness and stuff. Just use smoke and use, occlusion. Yeah, right. Okay. Whew. I think have we finally we've reached the end. Yeah, it's 20 till 10. So it's been 2.5 hours. It's a jumbo size stream. Thank you everybody for tuning in. There's like 230 of you or so at any one time. Thank you everybody for showing up. Thank you especially to Park for the mead, and thank you everybody for throwing a couple bucks in the bucket, because that all goes straight to Phil Abundance, which is my local food bank. Philadelphia has a real challenge with poverty, and people here need food so they don't get kind of bent out of shape and mad and wind up hurting each other and stuff. Like, food is very important, and it's just the charity that I relate to the most. So we're about $150 sort of, slightly fluctuating per month that you guys are raising for my local food bank, and I match it plus a little bit every month. So I'm very excited about that. That gets people food in their kitchen when they're having hard times. You know what I mean? And like, to me, that makes sense. We can't fix everything in the world, but we can help a couple people out. So if you can find a way to do that in your community, please go after it. And you don't have to, get out there and like be in the mix, so to speak. There's plenty of ways online to help your community and people just who are having a hard time. And find a charity that's important to you and throw $10 at it. And in time, you'll start to see, like, this is something you can jam on. And it's like, man, the world's getting a little crazy. It's like a little crowded. People seem to be kind of angry, and like, COVID made things all fucking tough as hell. So, if you love other people, now is a really nice time to like show them. Like, you can't just love them silently. Like, you got to love people somehow and talk to them or help them in some way. I think that's important. And it may not change everything, but you can change something. And that's how we're going to do it together. That's how we always done it, man. We're people. We them humans do. So thank you, Vance. Thank you, James. And this is not a ploy, by the way, to throw tips into the stream. It's not like that. But that's what I do with the tips on YouTube. You guys, thanks you so much for tuning in. It was cool hanging out. It's kind of feeling like more relaxed a little bit these days. And it's kind of just feeling like this is our jam. So Friday night, I'm going to be in here chilling. If you ain't got nothing to do, come hang out. I'll see you guys next Friday. And, short of that, fucking hey, get that vaccine and like stay on your discipline though. Like, this shit ain't over yet. It's not quite time to like Lollapalooza this shit. So everybody, like, take care of each other. And if we do it good, we're going to be seeing each other like in the summertime, at the end of the summertime. It's going to be freaking awesome. And then we can hug like normal people. We can look each other in the eye, warrior's grip, and be like, yo, you my dog right there. Right. Okay. So thanks you guys for tuning in. I will see you later on that old internet. I'm out. Happy weekend, y'all. Later. How? I got a tiny little monkey man with a monkey plan.